back to school. We got U of I. God bless them. We're so happy. All of our students are back. Move-in weekend, it was what you thought. It's just a lot. A lot of people. I got my 3 moved in. We're good to go. My oldest, Nathaniel's actually living at home working on a master's, which we love having him home. But the triplets are on campus. And we were one of those parents with the cars full of stuff, which is great. And you look at it and you go, oh, but when you're in it, it's the only place you want to be. So we got all that, sweat a little bit, got that going, and off they go to classes this morning. Okay, back to school. It's our dear friend, parenting expert, Maria Lucé. How are you?
Stevie J, I love being with you. How are you, sir?
We love having you on, Maria. You're in Dallas. Any effects of Harvey in Dallas, the northern part of the state?
Thanks for asking about that. It's so heartbreaking. Here in North Texas, we're starting to get some rain, but we're really feeling so heartbroken and reaching out to all of our friends. I have so many family and friends down in South Texas. So thank you for asking about that. Prayers go out to everyone.
It really does, because the thing is, we're just not even really close to being done. This thing, I'm looking on the map, is just recycling over the southern part of Texas and into Louisiana. And they're just, when you get 6-8 inches of rain an hour, I don't even know what that is. I mean, that's unbelievable.
And they're talking 24 inches of rain. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, I don't know about you. I know, well, I'm a news nerd. I mean, my life has been spent in the news business. But, I wake up at night, all night long, and I know this is a little off topic, but thank you for talking about it, because that's what's important. And you see humanity helping each other.
Yep.
In this day and age of such division.
Well,
this is where people come together.
No question about it. No. You mentioned something, so here we go off topic. What do you mean in the news business? You're supposed to be a parenting expert. Did you have a life change here?
No. I've been a broadcast journalist and anchor and reporter all of my career.
Wait, it says parenting expert. What happened?
So that's just a natural transition.
So you got out of the news business then?
I'm sorry?
You got out of the news business.
I left the news nomad business to raise 3 boys within 21 months of each other.
Wow, okay, good for you. Well,
there you go.
My wife and I have an older son, and then we had triplets. So you essentially had triplets.
Oh! So
you had that whole...
I love that.
Well, blessed and highly favored. There's no doubt. It's amazing. But good for you. And then, how old are your kids now?
So I have a son, talking about back to school and overscheduling kids. I have one of my sons is 14, his first day of high school. Oh, my Lord. And then my twins are 13.
Twins, wow. Oh, boy, you are busy. Okay, so how are you not overscheduling your 3?
It's difficult, but back to school doesn't have to mean back to crazy. And this is where parents set the tone. I mean, we feel like in our culture, and I'm sure, Stevie J, that you know this, especially with your kids, parents feel like the more they get their kids involved equals the future success as adults. Mm-hmm. And guess what? That's just not true.
Well, we feel it anyway.
And that's what our culture says, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much. We have to look at the stress. We have to look at the stress that it takes on the family, on the kids, on the parents, and then the cost, meaning literal money, because I don't know about you, but there's times when, when you're at the hospital and you're signing their birth certificate, you're also signing their college, admission form.
Yeah. No, right. No, it's amazing. But again, the more the kids sample, the more they know what they like and don't like. So the more we get them involved, so that they can choose something based on information and experiences.
And that you're absolutely right. Based on information and experiences, but not based on over pressuring them to do something they don't want.
Yeah.
You have to look for your kids' passions. You have to take stock, reduce stuff, review, reevaluate, and then, take stock, take control, and empower your kids. And that's what, as the Empowered Mom on the empoweredmom.com, that's what we talk about. Tips and signs for, are your kids overscheduled? Or is your family overscheduled?
Yeah.
Because we want the best for our kids.
Well,
and sometimes doing too much isn't the best thing.
Well, we also want to keep up with Brittany's family. Remember Brittany? Yeah. I mean, right. We totally do that as parents. We look over to say,
true.
Well, she's involved and she's involved in this club. Right. Shouldn't you enroll in this club? I mean, and you sound like you're recovering from something, Maria. You are just not getting enough sleep.
I'm so sorry.
No, you need rest, Maria. You need rest.
I am so sorry.
No, we please
talk about overscheduled, right? We learned.
This is a beautiful moment because now we feel terrible, and we need to go to your website and order your book. It says pre-order right here. I see it. So help us.
I love you so much.
Help this person, this poor person. Look at her. She can't even talk. She's got four.
I love you so much.
Freshman in high school. She's got 2 8th graders, and she can't even talk. It's Maria Lucé, theempoweredmom.com, theempoweredmom.com.
Very good.
I think it's totally an empathy order. Just go hit the darn pre-order thing. She'll buy some Dayquil with it. Come on.
Sorry. This is live on air, and this is what happens, right?
This is we like authenticity, and you certainly have that. Well, we'll all hang in there, and we'll have you back when available, but we loved having you on our show.
I love you guys so much.
All right, Maria, good chatting.
It's the WMT Morning Show with Doug Wagner and Justin Roberts on News Radio 600 WMT.
Doug and Justin here with you on a Monday morning, August 28th. It is 7:55. We are joined by parenting expert Maria Lucé. Maria, good morning. Welcome to the WMT Morning Show. How's your Monday starting off?
Hey, good morning. You know what? If I was any better, I'd be twins.
Stop stealing my lines, Maria. I'm telling you. Come back. No.
And I have twins, so I know this.
That's great. Hey, this time of year, kids are back to school. This is the first full official week for the kids to head back to school. But on top of that, it comes things like clubs, sports, music, dance lessons, and that's only the stuff that's really involved with school. There's really the tendency to kind of overbook kids nowadays, isn't there?
Oh, my goodness. What's the difference between busy and burned out? That's what we really have to ask. And, y'all know this. Well, I say y'all, but y'all know this very well. It's kind of like when we're in the hospital giving birth and you're signing the birth certificate, you're also having to sign the college admission forms.
Wow. That's a different way to think about it.
That's what it feels like in our culture these days, though, right?
No, you're right about that. I guess that makes sense. I mean, people are their kids are so busy. Back when Justin was a kid, look, he's 33. I'm coming up on 50. It was almost idyllic. I didn't have anything. We didn't have show choir camps or music all over the place. I don't know about you,
we
Justin.
had chores. That was it.
Yeah,
okay. That was first. Then after those were done,
show choir is awesome, though. It is.
No, I'll agree. But I mean, there's so much time that is consumed by what parents are wanting the kids. Are we really taking the kid's life out of the kid's life?
Yeah, parents set the tone. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Parents set the tone. And, listen, we react to culture and what the expectations are. Because if you don't have your kids in tutoring by the time they're 5, or even in pre-K, and if you don't have them in, select sports or dance or any of that nature by the time they're 7, then they're missing out. Wow. That's what it feels like. And back to school doesn't have to mean back to crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times it does, though. And how do we, how do we do this so that we can get family activities built into this without crushing, if maybe somebody wants to be a sports superstar, maybe they want to be a dance superstar like Justin is. How do we get that
only on weekends
exists so the balance is there?
Well, and that's so important you say that, because if a child has a passion and they're talented and they want to do it, as opposed to parents living through their kids, that's different. So if the child is wanting to do it and is excelling at it, and it doesn't impede other areas of their life, listen, kids, when they're stressed, when parents are stressed, we kind of tend to express it.
Right.
Well, in my house, I do.
Yeah. No, believe me, we do too.
In the empowered mom house, it's all over. But kids don't come up to mom and dad and say, "Mommy, I'm stressed. I'm overscheduled. I can't handle this." That's not how it works. What they do is it comes out in their behavior.
Right.
And I'm not just talking teenage behavior. I'm talking different sleep schedules. I'm talking difference in personality, falling behind in schoolwork. If those things are happening, that's a warning sign for parents. And on the empoweredmom.com, I will have all of these tips coming up later on today. But parents have to be aware of that. And the other thing is that when the kids are overscheduled, parents are overscheduled, and the stress comes out in the family.
Right.
And that's one of the warning signs we have to look for.
Yeah, it's a perfect ramp to this. Especially nowadays. You've got so little time, so many things to do. Real quick, know that you want to send your thoughts, prayers out to the folks in Southeast Texas dealing with this.
Thank you for saying that.
Especially,
yes.
Parents and kids alike, because they're going to be disrupted for weeks upon end by this. Maria Lucé, parenting expert, joining us here on the WMT Morning Show. 63 degrees. Thanks a lot, Maria. Have a good day today.
Love being with you. Thank you.
It's parenting expert Maria Lucé joining us on the Wake Up Call. She's been with us before. You're out of Dallas, right, Maria?
I am, and I'm so happy to be with y'all.
Yeah, now I realize to the south of you, obviously, with Harvey, they're getting hammered there. What's going on up in Dallas?
Right now it's overcast and maybe some sprinkles from the effects of Harvey, but it is just heartbreaking what's happening in South Texas. And the thing is, it's not stopping.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's stalled there and just continues to rain and rain. Do you know people in Houston? Do you have family or friends there?
I have. Yes, thank you for asking. I have so many family members. I grew up going down there to my grandparents' farm in LaGrange, Texas, which is obviously in South Texas. But I have so many family members that are being affected by that, and it's just heartbreaking. It really is, and we appreciate you asking about that, and we appreciate everyone's prayers and support. And it's going to be a long-term, grief and long-term recovery.
I'm going to assume that all of your relatives and the folks that you know down there were able to make it out, or at least at this point are safe.
They are, and thank you for asking. And there are so many opportunities, and this is what I know we're getting off topic, but
sure.
This is, what's important right now. Seeing humanity in our world right now, which is, just as well as I do, being in the media, there's so much bad
yeah.
and so much, dissent. But then you see everyone coming together for the good of humanity and helping each other. It doesn't matter race, creed, color, nationality, religion. It doesn't matter. we all come together to help each other. And that's what our country and that's what humanity is about. And isn't that refreshing?
Yeah, no doubt. Let's change the topic. Let's get on to the topic. And then
let's get back on to the reality of back to school, right?
Yeah, back to school. How much I've wondered this before. How much typically do we know that gets spent by a family to get their kid back to school? You know, we're talking about everything from supplies to new shoes to, you know what I mean.
The costs vary, and it depends on, obviously, how many kids you have and where you are, you know, what town you're in and socioeconomic levels. But people can spend anywhere from $300 to $600 to $1,000, and that's just, now $1,000 is kind of out there, but that's just on back-to-school clothing and supplies. That's not talking about when we start talking about overscheduling kids and extracurricular activities and dance classes and select sports. That's a whole nother level of thousands of dollars. And it is actually unbelievable. The other cost we have to talk about is the cost on the family in terms of stress and the toll it takes on not just the kids but the parents.
Yeah, and to just kind of clarify that a little bit, it is really easy, and I discovered this, you know, when my son was young. He's 20 now, but he would start back to school, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm going to be doing football, and I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be part of this group, and so on and so forth. And it's just like, so how are you going to get to all this stuff?
Yeah, well, you know how they're going to get to all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's mom and dad.
Right.
And that's what it is. And I don't know, you know, in Texas there's a new thing, relatively new in the last few years. It's called pay to play, meaning even within school you have to pay to be a part of certain, if it's football, because, you know, in Texas football is everything. But,
right.
You know, whatever sport it is in whatever state, you have to pay. And it's not just, you know, here's the thing. Parents have to set the tone, meaning a lot in our culture right now, parents feel like, and we are all pressured to feel like the more we have our kids involved, that equals the future success for them as adults. And that's one reason that adults feel an abundance of structured, goal-oriented activities help prepare them for what? The top colleges, the top jobs. And guess what? That's just not necessarily the case if it overwhelms the family and if it overwhelms the child.
Yeah, that makes sense. Where do you, I mean, you know, where does one draw that line between, okay, it's good to have a kid be involved in different activities at school, you know, but where do you draw the line, and where is the line between involved and overextended?
Over-involved, yeah. And that's a fine line that you have to dance constantly as parents, because the kids can't determine it. Because remember, you know, when we were kids growing up, I mean, you know, we had to do, you know, piano practice. We didn't want to do it, but we didn't have a choice. And then later on, there's work ethic. There's a lot of structure, routine. There's a lot of life lessons that come with that. However, when you are overscheduling your children and your family and yourselves as parents, frankly, your kids aren't going to come up to you and say, I'm overstressed. I can't do this. It comes out in different warning signs, like a change in behavior, different sleep schedules, a change in personality. And these are things that parents, that are warning signs. And this is one of the things that, as the Empowered Mom, on the empoweredmom.com, this is some of these tips I will have up there later on today, so that we can all look for those things, because kids can't process that. They don't know how to process it. They just feel overstressed.
All right. Well, good luck to you. Good luck to your family down in the Houston area. Good luck to everyone down there.
Thank you.
And appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Call.
Love being with you.
All right.
Have an empowered day.
Well, we remember that school is finally back in session for just about everybody. This is the first full week of school. That probably means the schedule is already jam-packed. So how do you help avoid overscheduling your child, and what is too much? On our WHBC Newsline right now, parenting expert Maria Lucé. Good morning.
Good morning, Pam. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine, because I'm an empty nester and I don't have to worry about these kinds of things anymore. But there are a lot of folks out there, parents and grandparents alike, who are just, chewing off their fingers because they have so many, they can't even put themselves in all the places they need to go.
I'm telling you, and this is my life this morning. I have 3 boys within 21 months, so if you do the math, so there's one, and then there's twins in there. And we are in the midst of that busyness. And what parents have to ask themselves and really evaluate is, what's the difference between being busy and burned out?
Yeah, and I think it can happen very simply. And how do you make the choices? I mean, a lot of times, kids that are in high school even, they say, no, do this, do that. It looks good on your college application. You're trying to get a lot accomplished in a short amount of time.
You are absolutely right. Now, listen, back to school doesn't have to mean back to crazy. And parents set the tone. But remember, we're living now in a culture where when you're giving birth to a child and you're signing their birth certificate, you're also expected to start signing them up for college.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is really,
I know. You're
really
right.
Where
the next day.
Right?
Yeah.
And so and I have one of my sons this morning is starting his high school. And here's what parents think, and not just parents. So there's no blame on parents. It's our culture. I mean, people think that the more involved kids are, that equals future success as adults. And guess what? The research over years just does not equate that to be true.
Now, a lot of times you might have a kid saying, do I have to go? Is this the kind of thing that you need to take notice of and say, okay, maybe this is too much? Or do who makes that decision? You, the child, or joint decision?
Well, the parents set the tone, but, remember, when we were there, we didn't want to do piano lessons. But then, there's still a work ethic that is instilled in part of that. Now, maybe they won't grow up to be, piano concertos. However, a work ethic is important. But when you're looking at overscheduling in our world right now, I mean, one reason seems to be that adults feel this abundance of structured, goal-oriented activities help prepare their kids for the top colleges and the top jobs. That's just not the case. What we need to look at is the stress level from kids, family, parents, and of course we're talking age appropriateness, right? Mm-hmm. And then, frankly, the other thing you have to look at is cost. And cost on many levels, because if you're not tutoring your kids by age 6, or if you don't have them in select sports that cost $2,000 a month, then they're missing out.
Yeah, that's what most people believe, right?
That's what most people believe, but you have to look at the stress levels within the family, and that's one of the biggest tips. And guess what? Kids don't often have the ability or the, maturity to come up to you and say, "Hey, Mommy, I'm stressed." That's not how it works. It shows up in different ways. It shows up in attitude, and I'm not talking just teenage attitude, by the way. Maybe sleep schedules that are different behaviors, just a difference in their personality. These are the things that are the warning signs parents need to look for.
All right, very good. A lot of good tips there. We appreciate it so much. Maria Lucé, parenting expert. Thank you.
Back to school, the rush is on. That means a lot of activities are just around the corner. So how do you keep your kids from burning out? Joining us on the Kogo News Live line, parenting expert Maria Lucé. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning, and thank you so much. Since I'm in Dallas, I appreciate that y'all are, sending prayers and well wishes to everyone in South Texas.
I lived in San Antonio for years. What a disaster.
It is. It's catastrophic. But getting back to school for maybe not some of them in South Texas, but for many of us, right, across the country, back to school doesn't have to mean back to crazy.
So how do you get it from not being crazy? How do you keep your kids from being overscheduled? I mean, there's all homework, all these activities.
It is. And you know what? Parents set the tone, number one, right? Because we're the gatekeepers. So if we choose to overschedule, because a lot of times, in our culture, we feel the more kids are involved in more activities, that equals future success in their adulthood. And guess what? That's just not true if it's to an excess.
So what factors do you need to consider?
So there's several. One is cost, and there's literal cost, meaning, I don't know about you, but I know that it feels like when I was signing the birth certificate for my kids in the hospital, I was also feeling like I already needed to start filling out their college applications. Because
that's a good point.
Right? Isn't it? That's how it feels, is that the more activities, and if you can get them in tutoring when they're 3, and then in select sports and dance and ballet by the time they're 5, then somehow that is going to equate more success for them. I mean, one reason seems to be that as adults we feel an abundance of structured, goal-oriented activities help prepare them for the top colleges by the time they're 7.
And that's
and
incredible.
Just unrealistic expectations.
That's amazing. But what's the difference between busy and being burned out?
Right. See, that's perfect. So you have to look at what is healthy, meaning, okay, so remember maybe when we were kids and whether it was piano or baseball or whatever, and you had to do the practices, you didn't want to, but then later on in life you realize, okay, there's structure, there's regiment, there's responsibility, there's a work ethic. Those are all great qualities that come along with raising your kids and having responsibilities. And if they're part of a team, then it's not just about, there's no I in team, right? But when it becomes excessive and it's stressing the family or stressing the child, listen, depending on age, a child is not going to walk up to a parent and say, "Mommy, I'm overstressed." That's not how typically it comes out. It typically comes out in behavior or sleep pattern changes or personality changes. And those are the things that parents need to look at being overstressed. And it's a fine line. And it's different from child to child and from family to family.
You're right, Maria. Thank you so much. We are out of time. We always appreciate it. Parenting expert Maria
Love
Lucé.
being with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Maria. Maria Lucé joining us on the Kogo News Live line. Still waiting for a news conference from the mayor of Houston regarding the flooding there. When that happens, we'll bring it to you live. Kogo News time 7:46. Do the events